Hello, everybody. Welcome to day 8 of the 10-day supercharged cleanse. You've made it this far, and we're going to talk about what's next. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Does anyone want to say anything or have any questions before we begin? I know you'll have lots of questions once we're done. Okay, here we go. Okay, let me go. Okay, great. Very good. So I'm going to ask you guys to do me a favor. I love the comments, but every time you guys comment, then this little bar comes up and I have a hard time seeing the screen. So refrain until after the presentation, but remember your questions and your comments because we are going to begin. So what's next after the cleanse? There we go. Congratulations. You've completed 10 days of dietary changes. Let's talk about reintroduction and what's next. Reintroduction best practices, 10-day and beyond. As you reintroduce a wider range of foods, it is important to gently restart. It's important to not bring all the foods back in all at once. This process will bring to light any hidden food allergies or intolerance. You're going to pick a food that you want to test or challenge, and you're going to eat a full serving of that food for a minimum of 3 occasions within the same day. So for instance, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And you're going to pay very close attention. And I know some of you are like, bread, 3 meals in one day. Are you kidding me? But if you want to find out how it is, that's one of the ways. Day 2 and 3, you do not eat it. You observe any adverse reactions such as bowel changes, headaches, skin reactions, brain fog, etc. You continue to avoid the food on days 2 and 3. If no adverse reaction happens, you can resume eating the food on day 4. If it is gluten, then I'd recommend a minimal amount. If it is dairy, watch your weight because that can increase weight gain. It also can be inflammatory, so you may not notice that it's aggravating you until you've been on these foods for a while again. But repeat it with other foods that you've eliminated and see how your body reacts. If you do have an adverse reaction, avoid that food for 3 months and re-challenge following the steps above. And consider food sensitivity testing if that happens. I do want you to continue the supercharged method. Eat 1 serving of protein, 2 servings of veggies every 3 to 4 hours in a 12-hour time period. And this means what we just said. I just repeated that. And then sleep 7 to 9 hours, preferably 8. Drink your water, half your body weight in ounces of water, or at least 8 glasses, and chill for 20 minutes. Healthy eating includes plant-based, organic, non-GMO fruits and vegetables, healthy fats, animal-based, wild-caught, grass-fed animal meat, prebiotics and probiotics. Prebiotics would be things that feed your gut, which could be things like nuts and seeds and like flaxseed and chia seeds. Those can be prebiotics. Probiotics are, of course, things that are fermented, like sauerkraut, pickles that are fermented, not just pickled, but fermented, and kimchi and things like that. And bone broths are very healing to the GI system. Foods to avoid, we've discussed this a lot, which is alcohol, caffeine, sugar, processed foods, genetically modified foods, and any foods you're intolerant or allergic to. Make sure you focus on healthy behaviors like sleep, good sleep. Make sure you're getting the deep sleep. And if you're not, figure out a way to get it. Remember, try to avoid any electronics before bed. Meditative practices, deep breathing, time spent in nature, taking walks, and connecting with family and friends. And then there's physical activity. The 4 components of movement is aerobic activity, strength training, flexibility, and balance, just like Scotty Johnson talked about yesterday. Get 30 minutes in a day of some kind of movement. And consider a new normal where you have more energy, mental clarity, full physical function, and reduced risk for chronic health conditions through the aging process. Now we're going to talk about restaurant eating because everyone's super excited about that. Choose a protein and double veggies when you're going to a restaurant. Make sure you load up on your protein and veggies. And if you're in a really nice restaurant, they're going to make it delicious, no matter what you choose. If you're going to splurge, choose 1 item off the menu, not 7 or not 3. Choose 1 item that you're going to splurge for, and then make a return trip for any other item that you are wanting, preferably not the next day, hopefully more like the next week. Split the item with your dinner guest. Make sure that you both are enjoying it and you're splitting all the sugar and the calories and the fat, right? And this is the most important. Eat ridiculously slow. If you're eating a treat, make sure you're eating it so slow that you're actually enjoying every last morsel as much as you can. Enjoy every bite and notice when the enjoyment diminishes. When you start getting distracted, you start thinking about other things, you're looking for the best bite. So this is the time when you are actually done. Your body says you're done, and there's something in your brain that says keep going, but this is the point that you can say no thank you. Leave a bite behind. Food doesn't control you. You control food. You have the ability to put your fork down and leave that bite behind. And eat when you are legitimately hungry and stop at enough. Do not stop when you have to unbuckle your pants. Do not stop when you feel bloated or you just can't breathe anymore. Stop when you've had enough. And don't eat when you are bored or frustrated or angry or just because you want to. Make sure you are legitimately hungry. And if you are not achieving your goals, make sure you modify what you're doing so that you can achieve your goals, and always reach out to me for any help you need. So we're gonna He actually snuck his way in because I closed the door before. Okay, so let's discuss all that. Okay, so who wants to comment or question any of those things? Susan.
Yeah, I'm a little confused about on the list of foods to avoid, it said eggs, yet we've been consuming eggs during the cleanse. So
Did it say avoid, continue to avoid? Oh, I didn't catch that. So eggs are one of the top allergens. Remember, this came from a presentation before where so many foods were removed. Citrus was removed, eggs were removed, nuts and seeds were removed. You weren't getting half the foods that you're getting now.
I see.
We decided to do this differently because if there is a food sensitivity, I'm going to do a separate detox based on that. So as opposed to chemicals and toxins, I'm going to do a separate one just on food sensitivities.
I see.
Because it's just, That's the one where you're removing all the foods. And I really have to prep you for what you will be able to eat.
I see. I see. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you for catching that. I'll fix it.
At what point is, if somebody wants to just have, say, even a half a cup of coffee, is there ever an opportunity to add just a little coffee?
So that's a great question. And I'm going to replace coffee with alcohol, with gluten, with dairy, with all the things, right? So yes, this is your life. You get to choose. And I think you are amazing for going down this journey and doing such a hard thing. And you know you can do hard things. But that's what I love about this is you prove to yourself you could do this. And sometimes it took a lot, like going off caffeine. Some of you really struggled a lot to get off caffeine, but you did it. And you saw the light at the end of the tunnel. You're more comfortable now being off of caffeine. That's amazing. So yes, you can go back on, but consider what you are. One, consider your goals. Are you still reaching your goals? And will you continue reaching your goals if you put X back in? And how do you feel on it versus off of it? Right? So if you gained any benefits from being off of it, why would you want to go back on it and struggle so much to get off of it again? Right? But it's totally your life, and I will celebrate whatever you choose to do.
Thanks for the guidance.
You're welcome. Who else? Oh, Beth.
So I'm not a coffee freak like a lot of people, but honestly, after these, like, well, for me, I stopped the coffee a little earlier. I do think it's profoundly psychological for me personally, and it's ritual because not half the TV commercials are coffee commercials. There's a Starbucks at every corner. We're so programmed to like, oh, get your start with your hot cup of Joe. And I'm not going to lie, I'm really battling with, I think, truly just the mental part, because I don't know that I feel pretty good not having the caffeine. I haven't had a pop, which I didn't drink that much of anyway, but I've had virtually no caffeine, right? Because we've been doing this for whatever, 10, 12 days with the pre-warm up time.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. It is a real, for me, and maybe you guys relate to that, but it's really a huge mental thing because I do feel good this far along. And the idea of like eating a little bit of sugar, like my friend Jill there, the Mike and Ikes are swimming in my brain, along with a dozen other things. But it's like, I actually think it's almost like any other addiction, you know, any drug or any other addiction. If I give in, I feel like I'll fall off the wagon. Now, that's not to say I don't want some gluten or, you know, cheese in particular, I think is one thing I'm missing most, like just feta cheese or a little cheese on like even a gluten-free pizza, you know, like different ways to have certain foods. But I feel like if I give in a little, I feel like I'll fall off.
Right. I agree. I hear you. And I really want to emphasize the part about it being in our heads and just really it's what you're telling yourself. You can tell yourself that, yep, I did caffeine for a long time. It's pushed left and right like drug dealers, and I'm choosing not to. Or you can say, yep, I'm going to listen to that part of my brain and I'm going to give in. You can choose, but I really want you to be mindful. As we move forward, if you're going to work with me, I'm going to talk a lot about feelings, about what your brain is telling you when you are tired or when you're hungry versus your cognitive thinking when you're in your best place, when you're in your best mind, and you really have control and you know what your goals are, and you know what's going to slow you down to get there. Not even your goals of just not being buzzed all the time on coffee or even dependent on coffee. So it's certainly up to you, but I want you to really know that you have the power to say no. Like, this is your body, your life. No one needs to be a drug dealer in your life to push anything onto you. right? Thank you, Beth. Valerie, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say when we were talking about food sensitivity. So last year, or was it year before? Whenever the pandemic first started, I did a elimination diet. So basically, I was tested, my blood was tested. They gave me a diet and supplements, and I did it for 30 days, which I was amazed that I did it for 30 days. But then they told me the things that I was sensitive to. And the same thing you were saying was like slowly introduce them back in. But I was to the point where I was like, I felt so good. I didn't even want to add them. I didn't even want to know, I would continue eating like this. So I did it for a few months. And then, summer comes and I was like, oh, I have to have my little summer drink and that kind of thing. So I slowly, got off of everything and I didn't feel good. And so when I started this again, I had that same feeling. It was like, oh, wow, I feel so good. My knees don't hurt. I have so much energy and that kind of thing. So this time I'm going to really, really try hard not to throw it all away, I guess, is
Right.
for lack of a better word. So
what I really like to do is, as we work together, is to continue talking about what caused you to have that one drink, that one summer drink, like that thought process. That's what I want to pick apart with all of you. Like, what's that one thought that you say to yourself that allows you to go from feeling great and doing like exercising every day to I'm just not gonna anymore kind of thing. So it's a thought you have in your head. It's something you're telling yourself. And if we can identify what that is, that's where the gold is. Who else? Robin?
So I am wondering, am I using the crutch of the supplements? One of the big things is I was like this amazing sugar addict. I mean, I walked by something, even something that I didn't like, and it was sugar, and it was like, it's there for the take, and I'm just going to have a bite. My day started with a tea with 2 full teaspoons of sugar. I mean, that's just, and I truly am now walking by those same counters in that same place, seeing those cookies and things, and I just keep walking away because they just don't interest me. Is it the supplement that I'm like, or is it because the elimination? And how do I keep doing that if those supplements go away?
That's a great question.
I'm trying to figure out how much the supplements are helping in that process.
Well, we're going to let them help for at least 21 days. For especially the Gemena, the Metaglycemics, not necessarily the protein powder, the detox powder.
Okay.
We're gonna do that together for 21 days. But I'm gonna give you, once you're off of that, if you want to stay on the other ones, you can, especially if during this process we look at labs together and we talk about health and goals and stuff like that. But if you want to get off the supplements and also, walk by a candy counter, you can, because you've been off of it long enough that you're not being triggered by those dopamine receptors. And the only thing that's going to trigger you is something you tell yourself while you're walking by it. Like, oh, I don't have those supplements, and I just don't have the strength, and I'm tired, and I deserve it. And all the things that we say, you're just not going to say those things to yourself anymore. Right? Because you're going to be aware and you're going to be watching for those bad thoughts. Right? Who else?
I just wanted to comment on something.
Sure. Mary.
When I forget who it was, it was Valerie who said, like, I don't remember who it was, actually, it may have been, like, you think, oh, just one time, and then you get dragged into this, oh, it's just once, and then it becomes once a week, and then it becomes once a day, and then we get dragged into it. Our brain is always like fooling us into believing we're stronger than that, I guess that dopamine pull or whatever, that like we think we're greater than it, and then it gets us. And then once you fall into that trap, it's like, I've got you. And before you know it, it's like this constant, even like Robin said, things you don't even care about anymore. Like you don't even enjoy it, but you're just being pull to it, you just get so used to having it that it's just, you can't, we think we know better. And
Right.
then, our other parts just drag us completely down.
It's true. I struggle with that too. So sometimes at night I'll be done eating and I'll have one little extra thing. And my brain says, oh, I don't want to be done eating. I don't want to wait. Like, I know that my next meal is going to be at noon the next day. And I'm like, I don't want to stop eating right now. And I'm not hungry. I've had enough. But this has been very helpful because this brings me upstairs by 8 o'clock and I don't go downstairs after this. So this has been really helpful. Susan. Oh, did you want to say something?
No, I was saying the same thing. This has been not by any means a distraction, but this has been really helpful to get over that little hump in the early evening, knowing I'm not eating until later tomorrow. Yeah,
Right.
But I enjoy this too, so I look forward to it.
So I don't remember who said this. I can't see, but is there, Beth, are we getting magnesium in the supplement? There's some magnesium in the Ultra Clear Renew. I don't know if there's any in the metaglycemics. I don't have the bottles with me right now. But that's a great question. Should you continue supplements after this program? You're getting B vitamins. You're getting like a multi in the Renew. There's a lot of nutrients you're getting, of course you're getting protein because you're consciously putting it in. You're getting all the other phytonutrients because you're consciously putting more vegetables in. And I'm hoping that you'll keep with the protein and the 2 veggies every 2 to 3 hours while we're, I hope you integrate that into your lifestyle. But what supplements should you add? So we know vitamin D is imperative. Probiotic is a really great idea. Magnesium is really excellent, and B vitamins are very excellent because they both are needed for every biochemical function you have. And and energy metabolism is so dependent on them. And then fish oil. So if you have any inflammatory conditions or cholesterol issues where your HDLs are not at 70, and we can talk all about, that's a whole different subject of like looking at labs and we could talk about that. But then a fish oil would be good if you're not on top of that. So a good multi plus those little extras are a good idea. Remember, a multi though is just a little bit of all the things. So if you need any one of those things, you're not really getting it. Who else said a message? Can I put a list together for the group? I think what I'll do is I will put to we can do a call and talk about something specifically on a call, and we can go through all of them. What else, you guys? Okay, do you want your homework?
I'm just a little curious.
Yeah.
So intellectually, I think I've figured out the parallel tracks between the detox with the Renew and the keto-like diet, right? Like that served as an elimination diet, which also served to balance out with the detox. But that also, then that diet, and I forget the language right, where it starts to then go internally, right? If it doesn't have the external carb or energy sources, it starts to work internally. Fat
adaptation.
And so how sensitive is the body then to on and off of that? Like if you put a little bit of carb in and then take it out again, does your body immediately go back to the external sourcing, or how sensitive is that?
So that's a great question, because one, this is not a ketogenic diet. So you're still using carbohydrates as fuel in this diet because we didn't eliminate it to the extent of,
okay.
So a ketogenic diet is really 20 grams or less of carbohydrates, including fruits and vegetables. Because you got 2 fruit lots of vegetables and 2 carbs a day, you're still running on carbohydrates for fuel for your meals, except with the in-between part. Once you've digested all that fuel, what you're left with is dining in, right? Eating your own fat for the time in between the meals and that 12-hour plus when you're not eating at all. So that's where you're all finding weight loss from. It's that.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? Did that answer
Yeah.
your question?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Thank you.
So okay, and so I'm gonna go further. So as you add more carbohydrates in, no matter what they are, then you are going to notice something. You're going to either notice that you can maintain your weight loss because it hasn't reached that threshold where you have more calories than you're burning, or you aren't spiking your insulin, which is storing fat, right? Because insulin stores fat. Or you are, or the weight will go up, or the inflammation will go up, and you will notice that. And that will be your guide, your gauge. Did I answer that? Yeah, okay, good. Okay. Does anyone else have questions around that or something else? Okay.
I was asking in the chat, is krill oil basically the same as fish oil?
So I don't have a clear answer on that. So I will say that I don't think it contains everything. It has exoxanthins, which is an antioxidant. It was, I do like sardine oil, salmon oil. I think it's actually more complete and has more studies in raising HDLs than krill oil. I don't think there's as many research studies on krill oil specifically than on the others. But is it, once again, I would look at labs to see if you're reaching your goals. Is your HDLs at 70? And that's my gauge for fish oil. And inflammatory markers. If you have high inflammatory markers and they've come down on krill oil, that's great. Then it's doing its job. And if it's not, then I would switch.
And second thing is, so yesterday I've been working out the whole entire time we've been doing this, and yesterday I just hit like a tired wall. Like I just couldn't. Is it because I don't have enough carbohydrates, or I was just trying to figure.
Remember, your body was busy detoxing. It's amazing that you lasted as long as you did. Because tell everyone what kind of exercise you're doing, Chris.
Well, I'm doing P90X, and so
Right.
got this years ago, and I was doing great with it, and then yesterday I just
right. So it's not like you were increasing your walking. No, you were exercising at a really high intensity, which is fine. But remember, your body is really busy detoxing. And so it's utilizing a lot of the nutrients and your energy metabolism. And so it's no wonder you hit a wall. And it just amazes me that it took you this long. So I'd say give yourself a rest.
Right.
Yeah. Are these recordings for return? Did someone say something about that? Are we going to be able? What?
Bridget was curious how long the recordings would be available.
So I'm actually going to take them down because I will leave them up for the 21 days, but because all your faces are on them and I did not get agreement ahead of time to have you videotaped, I don't feel comfortable leaving you all on past our little time period. In the future, I will either do that or find a way to record with some anonymity, just because And the only reason, so I really tried to get these videos so that so I didn't have to put it publicly. I couldn't figure out how to do Dropbox. I couldn't figure out how to do Google Documents. And so I felt it was better to be timely and get it on YouTube and have you all be able to look at it. So far, no one else has looked at it except our group because I'm not advertising it as such. But so does that answer your question in a really long answer? Sorry.
But Stacy, would it be still on the this Facebook group? Because you always tag it there too.
I don't know. Okay, if you can teach me how to make it private on YouTube, but share it to be able to see it on the Facebook group. I don't know how to do that.
Okay. Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah. So I'm not technically savvy.
Did you ask your kids on that? They probably might know the answer to that.
Good point.
I know my son-in-law can do it because he did it with my grandson's basketball play.
Okay, well, maybe I need to talk to him.
I'll have him call you.
Thank you.
All right.
Susan, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to double check. Could you give me your take on the algae-based omega-3s as opposed to actual fish oil?
Marketing.
No difference or benefits? Is one being more plant-based as opposed?
So oftentimes you don't want it plant-based because you have to consider the sources. Plant-based sometimes means farm raised because they're controlling the environment. Right?
Okay.
So, it's very interesting being in the holistic and world in regard to supplements because Jill and I get invitations to different supplement companies all the time, different products, or like all these great companies, and they're like, but ours is better. Our fish oil is better. Our fish oil does this, 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 this. Our fish oil does this, 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 this. It's from this, it's from this. It's a lot of marketing, is what it is. So, but I will say this. Okay, I'll answer your question in a minute, Valerie. Do not get your fish oils from Costco, from CVS, from GNC, because their sources are not good. You want to at least know that you're getting it from good sources and that the company you're using is doing individual assays to make sure they're accounting for the heavy metals in them. That's super duper important. And rancidity. If you should always be able to take a capsule of a fish oil, bite into it, and it should never taste bitter. If it tastes bitter, then it's rancid. Valerie?
Yeah, are we going to get our blood tested and then we see like where our numbers and all that is, and then we can continue different supplements? Is that
so that is a conversation,
or is that just an option? Or
that is a conversation that I'd like to have, but that would be a visit because that's a little more individualized care that I would have to do in my clinic.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying. So after
one of the
this
things
21 days, could
right
we then?
Yeah, in the 21 days, we can talk about that, because what I would like to do is tell you all the things I look for in lab work so you can look for it, and I'll give you the ranges I'm looking for, and then you can choose whether or not you want to either work with me or request it from your doctor and what I look for. And then based on those results, if you have high inflammation, then you and I talk and we actually put together a plan and work together to decrease your inflammation, things like that. Any other questions? Beth, did you have a question? You're on mute.
All right, I ask it. I put it in the chat. It was back to the supplements. Over the years, you and I have talked about it on and off, and I'm not a real, I haven't always been a real keen on doing that stuff, the pills, the big pills, but you do kind of get used to it, I guess. I guess I'm just wondering though, like, Whole Foods then, for example, is that a trusted source to buy stuff from?
So Whole Foods is a good source. It's less of a good source since Amazon bought them, right?
Right.
It's hard, but I have not, like, the way I kind of evaluate them oftentimes is looking at their protein powders. And if I ever see sucralose on any of their protein powders, I'm like, okay, we're done.
So Trader Joe's is one of your go-tos.
It is, but not necessarily for stuff like that, because they do have some bars that have sucralose in it, and I don't know if they still do. I have to check. They did at one point in time.
You are carrying a lot of these supplements in the office too, right? So we can actually buy things through you.
Right, and I
You've
do
done the
recommend
homework.
that. I do recommend that. We are very conscientious about what supplements we allow in and what we work with. And we make sure we work with companies that are pharmaceutical grade. It's the companies that, Dr. Hyman and Dr. Perlmutter and Dr. Amen, or all the bigwigs. We use the same supplement companies. Solgar can go both ways. So one of the things I look for in supplement companies is oftentimes calcium. If calcium carbonate is one of the top, if there's like a calcium supplement, it says calcium citrate blend, and the first one's calcium carbonate, which is not absorbable at all, then I'm like, no to that one. But there are some, like, I'm not familiar with Solgar specifically, but I do know they also carry calcium carbonate, which is not my favorite. So it's just not absorbable at all. And it confuses people because they say, oh, I'm taking calcium. They bring it into my office and I'm like, you're not getting any calcium that way. And not necessarily that you even need calcium, because we have a whole conversation about what bones really need, and it's rarely calcium. Metagenics, I love. Standard Process, we can talk about. Nordic Naturals is a good one for fish oils. Standard Process is questionable at times. Now, a lot of you are on the Gemena because it's straight Gemena, and I wanted you to have that. And I wanted you to have high enough dose so that you could cut those sugar cravings in a short period of time. But it is processed in a facility that processes gluten products. And that's not okay for a lot of my patients. So I don't typically use Standard Process. The ones of you who are super sensitive to gluten got a different product because of that. Any other questions, comments? These are great questions. I love this conversation. I love talking about supplements. You want to hear what I'm doing next? Oh, what?
What Liz is wondering if you like Congaplex by Standard Process.
So I do, but Standard Process, you have to take so many. Oh, Liz is gonna, hold on. Liz is like, wait.
I only take it when I feel like I'm coming down with a cold.
Gotcha.
Or if I'm feeling, like that, and it seems to like knock it right out every time.
Right. So we have our favorites too, of things that knock things out, knocks the immune system into overdrive. I really like Mycoimmune, which is a mushroom complex that really works. I like Verised, that really works. These are the ones that work like spot on. As soon as you feel like, oh, I feel something, it really, yeah. And Congaplex, I know a lot of patients love Congaplex for exactly that reason. Yeah.
Okay.
I started on Standard Process almost 30 years ago. And then it was just so many, honestly, if you're on a Standard Process protocol, you are taking 15 pills 3 times a day. Like, there's a lot. Right? It's true.
I was just working a couple months ago at a place that just pushed the Standard Process a lot, and those people were taking a lot of pills and buying it, very, very frequently.
Yeah, it was hard for me to it was hard for me to take. So I moved on to other brands. So I was going to tell you what I'm doing next, I think. So, oh, Vicky, go ahead.
Yeah, I have one other question. Are mushrooms considered inflammatory?
Only if you're sensitive to them.
Okay.
They're actually amazing, like reishi mushrooms and maitake and shiitake. What other ones? They're amazing for the immune system. There's a course coming up. It's a 6-week course, and it's through the Institute of Functional Medicine. It is specified diets for different conditions. So it's like the diets for inflammation, the diets for IBS, the diets for cardiac. It's like specific diets. And I'm super looking forward to validating what I know and finding things I don't know. So that actually starts on the 7th of February and goes to the 15th of March. And there's quizzes and an exam at the end. So I'm dipping my foot in the water of a bigger course that they offer, but this is my little.
I'd be interested after you get done talking about if it's the cardiac or whatever.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah. I'll keep y'all informed. So what else? Oh, your homework. You want to talk about your homework? So
I've been doing homework all day.
I know, but this is different homework. This is you creating your life, right? I want you to start with, so what tomorrow I'd like to do, tomorrow's is day 9, right? And tomorrow night, I really want everyone to share their plan. I want you to start with, my goal was, I achieved this. I am going to do this because I want to achieve this. And
Repeat
I want
that
you to
again.
put,
Can
okay.
you repeat that?
Jill, are you taking notes?
Yep.
Are you gonna post this afterwards so I can see it afterwards? I don't have a notebook in front of
Jill,
me.
you're on mute.
I am writing down what you just said.
Would you just repeat it?
Well, I'm only to the third one, so I have, my goal was, I achieved this. I am going to do this. So I forget what the fourth one was.
Because my new goal is this,
Okay.
or my ultimate goal is this. What's your ultimate goal? Like you had a goal coming into this, and it might have been just to detox or just to, get yourself a jump start because you overindulged, right? But that's not your ultimate goal. What's your ultimate health goal? And I want to know the foods you're going to eat, the foods you're not going to eat, the foods you're going to eat, the foods you're not going to eat, what you're going to drink, what you're not going to drink, how you're going to move your body, and what bad habits or practices you're going to give up. Now, that's a big order, right? But this is just your blueprint. Even if you don't hit the mark, you're on your way. And at least you know where you're going, and you can change your sales along the way to make sure you get to the goal. Or if you go off course, you can bring yourself back on because you have it written down and you've actually declared it because you're going to share it tomorrow.
So repeat the foods we're going to eat, not going to eat. What was after that?
What you're going to drink, what you're not going to drink, how you're going to move your body, and the habits and practices you're not going to do. Okay, and that's day 9. Day 10, I think day 10, we do not have a call on day 10. on, like tomorrow is our last night.
Mhm.
If you want a call on Friday night, you've got to tell me and I'm happy to do it. But you will have completed the program. So you get to choose whether or not you want to come on. So tomorrow, I want to share our plans. I want to talk about the future. And I want to see what kind of outcomes you've had and progress you've made just from this. Because I just want you to know and declare what your possibility is. You look what you did. I'm so proud of you. You should be so proud of you. If you can do this, look at all the other things you can do. Okay. I think that's it for me. Jill, do we have prizes?
Yeah, we have 4 more people, so I'm only going to do 2 tonight. So we have 2, we'll have it spread out for the whole time. So tonight is Phyllis and Amelia.
Yay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Excellent. Okay, guys, you have a wonderful, yes. So that list that I just said about the homework, Jill is going to,
Put it in the Facebook.
yeah, and she'll
I don't
also,
have everyone's email right now. Well, I guess I could reply to a thing. Oh, it's probably blind copied.
no, but you can send it to me and I can send it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll get an email and Facebook.
Yeah.
Because I really want you to do this. Like, I really, really want you to do this. I really want you
But
to.
we shouldn't stress out over it.
Well,
No.
no, you shouldn't stress out over it because just because you want to do it doesn't mean you're going to. It's a process. I just want you to really see what you want and what your goals are and how you know how to get there, whether you choose to get there or not, or if it's a straight line or if it's not, that's totally fine. That's life, right?
I meant the stress of the time constraint.
Oh. Well, we only have
But
2
that,
more
but
days,
that
guys.
also.
Do it right now. Do it now, and then you won't have to worry about it.
Yeah, do it
Take
after the
10
call.
minutes. I'll post it in like the next 10 minutes on
Awesome.
the Facebook page. Oh, you
Very
can't
efficient.
do it because you're the band girl. Never mind.
Oh, she can read it. She can read it. She just can't reply to it.
Oh, okay. You can
And
see
don't
it.
Oh,
reply
yeah.
to on Facebook. I want to see, like, I want to talk about it tomorrow. So,
Okay.
free
Free.
Miriam. Everyone's like, free
Thank you,
Miriam.
Marcy. I don't even know what I did wrong. I'm like, and I literally
Must
only
be
signed
a
up for
code. It must
Facebook
be a
just
word.
for this. I
So,
signed up for Facebook just for this, and I planned on like taking it down when we finished. And I'm like, this is so weird. Like, what in the world should I have done wrong?
that's crazy.
So
That's funny.
Well, everyone have a good night. I will stick around if you have any questions or comments or concerns.
thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Good night.
Good
Thanks,
night.
everybody.
Bye. Good
Have a good
night.
night.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Be well.
Good night.
Night.
Chase,
Yeah.
with the last few stragglers here with me, I have a
Hold on.
confession to make. I've had a few more servings of fruit than I was supposed to.
On that, I'm going to stop the recording and then I'll comment on that.